Hello, my name is Beatrice Setnik. I am the Chief Scientific Officer at Altasciences and an adjunct professor at the University of Toronto, Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology. I am joined today with my colleague, Dr. Debra Kelsh, who is a psychiatrist and principal investigator at Altasciences. Dr. Kelsh oversees many of the clinical human abuse potential and substance use disorder studies that we conduct at our clinic in Kansas. We would like to welcome you to our podcast series titled The Many Faces of Recreational Drug Use, a series of candid interviews of personal drug use histories, which will include a collection of conversations with volunteers who abuse drugs, both sporadically for recreational purposes and those that are struggling with a more severe form of substance use disorder. Our first interview today is with a male, age 30, who is opioid dependent. We will follow the interview with a series of brief commentaries and a discussion. We hope you enjoy today's podcast and will now begin. Let's start off, if you could give us a little bit about your history of using recreational drugs. How did you start? What did you start using? And how did that evolve? You can tell us a little bit about your story.
It started. It started when I was young. I don't even know how old I was when I think it was between 6 and 8 when I ripped my jaw off. So I got prescription hydrocodone or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that's when I liked them because it took me out of my mind because I don't know how to say it. Molested by my father when I was younger. So like it clicked. So then it just evolved. I don't know, rapidly. By high school, I was getting prescriptions, written to me for $180 a month of hydrocodone, oxycodone 30s. Did those for, I don't know, well into my 20s. And then, here and there dabbled with, heroin. Never shot it or nothing. But, and then now the new thing is fentanyl. So, yeah, so I'd rather do, because now the fentanyl, like even if you go back to an oxycodone or anything, you won't feel anything from that. But you take 3 of the oxycodone 30s and it doesn't do anything compared to a fentanyl, a press 30 or whatever, however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you weren't, you've never injected before.
Yes.
For any of these drugs. So you're taking it mostly orally. Do you take it by any other route other than oral?
I snort them and smoke them.
And smoking. And so you started off with hydrocodone. Did you try other drugs, or did you have a preference for opioids, or did you experiment with other drugs as you were growing up?
I love acid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't know, just the way it makes you feel after you do it. Like the next day, like you feel, I don't know, re-energized after doing acid, but that drug is hard to come by on the streets. So, but yeah, pain pills was the number one. There for a while when I was working, I traveled. So, I was addicted to crack cocaine for a long time, for 4 years. But, I've been off of it for, I think, 3.
Well, congratulations.
And, yeah, thank you. And I've just been on opiates ever since. So.
And so you started off very young. You had a prescription. As you were getting older and you were using the hydrocodone, this was all coming from a prescription that you were getting? Or were you getting it in your later year, in your high school years, for example? Were you getting it from friends or family?
I was getting it from friends.
Okay.
Adderall, anything.
And then when you were, for example, if you were snorting the drug, so what the dosage, you would have started off with this really small dose, but you mentioned that you were getting higher and higher doses of hydrocodone. Could you just kind of walk me through how high of a dose you were getting before you moved over to other things to kind of beat off that tolerance?
It wasn't long. It was, I don't know, when I was 14, I was doing, I don't know, 108, 180 hydro 10s, because that's as high as hydro 10s would go. Hydrocodone only goes to 10 milligram with Tylenol or whatever, and I could do 180 in 2 days. So.
Oh, okay. And so that would all be through prescriptions, or that would be through getting it from friends?
Correct.
Okay. So from friends then.
Yeah. Prescriptions and friends.
And friends, so you'd be combining them. So then did you ever move from, you mentioned heroin, did you move to, say, you moved to other types of opioids after you hit the hydrocodone?
The oxycodone limit of the 30 milligrams, yes.
Okay. And then at what point did you kind of move from taking it orally to, say, intranasal use? Did that happen rapidly, or did that sort of evolve over time?
Technically, it was my younger brother that introduced snorting. Like, I don't know the difference between his body and my body makeup, but he feels them more when he snorts them. But I feel them more when I eat, when I eat them and snort them. So like.
So you would do a combination of the two? You would take some orally and then take some intranasally?
Yeah, I would eat, like, if they were oxy or hydro tins, I would eat like 8 of them and snort 2 of them. And within 20 minutes, I was like, yeah, dude, I love this.
So you're getting a combination of the two. Okay. And how are you preparing them to snort? What would you have to do to get it to a powder a form that would be easy to snort?
Crush it down. Lighter, a big lighter, any kind of lighter, a grinder. Those gray, what is it, service trays that the servants used to use back in the day. We have, a few of them at the house. We would just break it down and pass the plate, and there you go.
And have you encountered some of those opioids like the OxyContin that were more difficult to crush? Have you ever encountered those types of opioids?
The OP? Yes.
And were you able to get around crushing it, or did you find it more difficult to use those by snorting?
You put them in the microwave and it melts the plastic around them that surrounds them, and then you just either shoot them or snort them.
So would it be, if you have to put more effort into, say, microwaving them and doing all of these steps, does that deter you from using that, or is it, does it make a difference to you if you have to spend more time preparing a drug for snorting?
I mean, it didn't really matter because what was it? I think I took what is it? Oxycontin. What is it, 80 milligram one time? I split it in half, and I took half of it before work. I ate it, and as long as you get one in you before, so you don't start withdrawing or whatever, you're fine. And then you can do whatever you want to the microwave. It doesn't matter, because once you're high, you're high. You don't really care. You just don't want to come down. So then I spent a lot of money on drugs. So yeah, not very good.
And so your primary motivation is it to kind of avoid withdrawal syndrome at this point, or are you still getting that high that you got before?
You still get the high, but right now, because of the fentanyl, you could do a fentanyl pill, and 2 hours after you do it, you're already starting to withdraw. So you got to buy more. And no other pain pill can touch it. Not an oxycodone 30, not a a one step away from heroin pill. Nothing. I mean, nothing touch it besides the real thing of heroin. I mean, that touches it. That gets you off of sick, but it's not the same kind of high, I guess. Like, I don't know, people would say I would black out on fentanyl, but I don't know. I mean, I remember most of things. Some things, I blacked out, I guess, but I don't know. I just love the drug.
So how long have you been using fentanyl for?
2 years.
2 years. And I mean, it has quite a different potency compared to hydrocodone and oxycodone. How do you control it so that you use it safely?
I don't know I don't know how much I don't know how much is in the pill or not. I know that I can crush down, like when they were first coming out, they were potent. They were like really strong, because I remember breaking my sink because I blacked out one time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was one example. And then like now, I don't know if they got it down or what, but now you just get high. So
Okay. Great. So we'll take a brief break here and point out a few of the really interesting elements that came out of the interview thus far. Dr. Kelsh, we work with a lot of individuals who have opioid use disorder, or whether they're recreational or dependent, as in the case of this gentleman. He mentions really early exposure to opioids. I think he was between 6 and 8, as from his recollection, for a jaw injury that he had, and he recalled stating that he really liked it at the time that he was using it. And of course, he also mentioned the abuse that he suffered as a child. In your dealings with a lot of users who are dependent, do you often see these characteristics in these populations with such early exposure?
I think that's a little earlier than I've seen, with opioid use. I mean, but it's a pretty typical story that even as a teen, for whatever reason, they received a prescription of opioids, whether it be for a tooth extraction or a sports injury, and then they became addicted. But you do see a lot of people who have used other drugs really early, whether it be marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes. So the early age isn't so unusual, but I would say that's even a little young to become sort of dependent on it. Because I think partly because of access, at that age, I think it would be much harder to keep a supply going from a pediatrician per se. So, but starting at a young age, teenage years, that's pretty typical.
Mm-hmm. And I did note that as he was progressing to fentanyl, he was talking about how the tolerance, of course, and that's very notable with opioids, as the tolerance develops. It was surprising that he didn't transition to eventual intravenous use, but that was probably marked in, as we'll see later in the interview, a fear of injections. And that's oftentimes not uncommon to hear that some users will be weary of going to injections. And then we see sort of transition to more potent opioids like fentanyl to sustain that level of the high that they're trying to achieve, while trying to circumvent the withdrawal effects. But he did make mention of the struggles he's had with withdrawal. And it's interesting because the fentanyl, as he mentions, when he's taking the fentanyl, the withdrawal, I guess, is so intense that even the oxycodones or the regular opioid pills no longer are as effective. Is that something that you've noted with different subjects across in terms of how they mitigate the withdrawal with fentanyl, with more potent opioids?
Well, the fentanyl phenomenon's a little bit more recent for us. When we first started, I think the heroin, he may have missed that, I think because of the fear of needles, but also what happened was, as the opioids became harder to crush and became abuse deterrent in that way, some people then switched to heroin because that was easily accessible. But he may have had that happen and then was able to then skip the heroin stage and go straight to fentanyl, because now fentanyl is so available out there. So right, so I think the withdrawal, it could be worse, although I think it's bad once you get opioid use disorder, no matter what opioid you're taking. It seems like when we see them here in our facility, they all eventually look equally miserable. I mean, a lot of suffering in the withdrawal.
And he did make mention of his experience with microwaving OxyContins, which we know that was one of the methods that was in the internet and some of the publicly accessible recipes for overcoming OxyContins. I think he made an interesting point, I think, because he's so, his preferred route seemed to be the oral route with some mixed intranasal use, but he did make mention that his brother got more of an intense feeling from the intranasal route, whereas his preference was more on the oral route. So for him, I think the idea of manipulating tablets for injection or perhaps intranasal use may be a little bit different than the average individual who may be injecting opioids. But it was interesting that that how accessible that information about tampering gets out into that public domain, and certainly the experimentation with it. But he did make a very valid point that as soon as he takes an opioid, his initial motivation is to stop the withdrawal. And once he does that, once that's under control, then he can sit around and tamper with things for longer. But it really is a function of timing. So the withdrawal is the most important time urgent thing that they need to address, because as you've mentioned, it's very debilitating, and they suffer quite a lot through the withdrawal. Another point that he made, and we'll get more into it into the interview, were the blackouts that he experiences with fentanyl. And do you come across that in terms of subjects reporting fentanyl blackouts? And he'll get a little bit more into that later in the interview, where he talks about doing things and having no recollection. So it's not passing out or a respiratory depressant effect, but a complete blackout.
Yeah, not so much. I haven't probably just queried that question specifically, but we do see a lot of sort of near-death experiences where they're having to be revived, that are their friends. But no, that was an interesting comment, because I haven't, unlike alcohol, where you hear about blackouts sort of all the time, just actual missing periods of time. I haven't had people report that, but then again, I may have not just specifically asked that question either.
Well, we'll hear more about it in the interview. So why don't we continue the interview, and we'll pause again for a break further down. And so these you're getting from friends and family, or how are you getting access to fentanyl?
Drug dealers.
Mm-hmm. And so, but you're taking it orally at this point. Are you snorting them? Okay.
I don't take the fentanyl. No, I don't take fentanyl orally. I take it. I just snort it because it hits you faster, and I mean it actually. Yeah.
So the how often, how many times a day do you usually have to take a hit?
It depends on how much money I got in my pocket.
Ah,
Well, that's true. So ideally, if you had,
if I had $100, if I had $100, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, when I leave here, I get however much money from them. I'll go and spend $100. I'll spend half of what I get. I'll go get me some, and then I'll buy me cigarettes because I smoke cigarettes because I'm an idiot. I know, but that's what I do, and those 4 pills will last me till later tonight. But sometimes I can go, one day with 1 pill, the next day with a half a pill, or but I'm withdrawing right after. So.
So is there anything that you do other than taking more fentanyl, is there anything that helps you with the withdrawals? Do you take any other kind of meds to help you through it if you can't access the fentanyl fast enough?
No. I would go steal from Walmart or Lowe's or Target or anywhere to go and support my habit. Because I don't work right now. I used to be union laborer, and now I don't work because of pain pills.
And then have you noticed, has there been a big difference in how much you're using with this whole COVID and all the lockdowns? Has that affected your ability to source it or how you've been using it? No, it's been the same before and after.
Yes.
And so have you gone through? So you quit the stimulants. You mentioned that's a great step. You used to be on crack and cocaine. You mentioned, so you quit doing that and you've stayed on the opioids. Have you gone through the process of trying to withdraw or go on to methadone or quit opioid use in the past?
I did a study here I think it was in like September, October, about the drug, what is it? The drug abuse study or whatever it was. It was for Altasciences, I think, or I don't even remember what it was for. I remember it's for Altasciences. But yeah, I did that here. And when I got out, I went to the doctor to KU to get on Suboxone, what we were taking here, but like it was just too expensive. Like they said I was acquired for the grant or whatever, and like that took forever. And every time I went, I was getting charged $200 for going to see the doctor. Well, I don't have that money. So now KU's looking for like $600 for me, and I ain't gonna pay it. I'm not, I can't pay that. And then I'm not going to pay, $100 something for a prescription when I can go get a fentanyl pill for $20.
So it's going for approximately $20 on the market for one pill. That's the going rate.
Yes. Well, I mean, it differs. Some people's $20 and some people's $35.
Yeah, and so the Suboxone was very expensive, and for something like methadone that has is slightly cheaper. Have you tried methadone before or no?
I've tried methadone. I've snorted it too. I hate snorting methadone. It like pins and needles in your nose.
So methadone doesn't give you that kind of pleasant feeling that you get with the other drugs.
No, it turns me mean. It turns me and my brother mean.
That's interesting. Did you find the same thing on Suboxone when you were taking it?
Suboxone, like, I don't know how to describe it. When it was on the streets before I came to the study, it made me feel just like I did pills, because you can get the little film thingy, put it in a spoon, get fucking hot water, and like, mess it around and let it dissolve into the spoon, and then you can snort that spoonful into your nose, and like you get just as high or higher from that doing a pill, which was cool. But you couldn't do anything after that, which was like fine with me, because the Suboxone would last like all day long. But then when I did it here and I got out and I tried doing it when I was out, it didn't have the same effect. Like I didn't get high from it or nothing. Like it was just there. I can't get high.
So when you did it the first time, when you were doing it before with the study, you said you couldn't do anything with it. Was it just because you were just so mellow, or how was that feeling? And
I mean, it was just like I was high off of a handful of pills.
So it just lasted longer, but you still got that same pleasant experience. It lasted a long time.
Yeah, I even snorted the pills. The round orange pills that they, oh my God, the taste, sorry.
They didn't taste good?
It did not taste good. It tasted too orangey.
So if you had a choice over what opioid you preferred, what would be your favorite opioid? Is it fentanyl, oxycodone? Which one gave you the best kind of feeling when you were taking them?
I mean, they all gave me the same feeling. I would rather have stuck with the actual opiates that come from plants, because like I never withdrawed from opiates from plants. Like I could do as many as I wanted and I never had withdrawals. I could always go to work. And then when I started using heroin and fentanyl, well, then I just like lost my family, Yeah.
And can you help explain why that was? So you had more withdrawals when you were using heroin and fentanyl compared to the prescription opioids?
Yes. Yes, but now, like since I used fentanyl, I can't go back and use. I've tried it. I've tried using an they're called Roxy 30s, the little blue ones, just like the little blue fentanyl 30s. And that's what I thought I was getting for a long time, was just the regular, but they would hit me harder. I'm like, well, yeah, I fucking love this. But now, like, I can't go back to oxycodone or hydrocodone or anything, because you can't get high from it. You will not get high. It doesn't matter. I took 9 oxycodone 30s. I ate them, and I didn't get high at all.
Oh, wow. That's a big dose.
Yeah.
So do they at least help to prevent withdrawal if you're trying to, if you can't get fentanyl or heroin, do the prescriptions at least kind of tie you over until you could get another get access to fentanyl? No, so it doesn't help with the withdrawal either.
It doesn't help at all.
Okay, that's wow.
It
So
sucks.
yeah, so that was, well, it's interesting because and sorry, you mentioned that you kind of transitioned from the prescriptions over to heroin in your teenage years. Is that when
heroin was in my 20s?
In your 20s, okay, and that's
Yeah,
kind of
I
when.
was I was scared of needles. I hated needles. I
Mhm.
hated like when I was in school, they taught us that heroin was 100 times worse than cigarettes or marijuana.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, it's not really. It's just a pain pill. But that's what I was taught. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be a heroin addict. I don't,
Mhm.
That's why I became a crackhead. I'd rather be a crackhead than a heroin addict. Well, not really, because in long terms, I'd rather be a heroin addict than a crackhead. Because it was weird. Like, but with like the hydrocodones and shit, I didn't get withdrawals or nothing. My back hurt here and there, whatever. I was a laborer. I was holding a 90-pound jackhammer on my head all day. So yeah, my body would hurt. But
Yeah.
so, it's just weird.
So when you were more heavily using the crack and cocaine, were you still using opioids, or did you transition over to crack cocaine at that point?
I would use opiates. Like, I don't know. When I would smoke crack, I used to get a prescription, so I would smoke. It's out of your system in 3 days. So do it on the weekend. By Monday, you're clean. So I was on probation too at the time with John. Somewhere out here, whatever. I ain't gonna say their name, but so yeah, you do it because I knew when I would have to go pee. Drop my U8, whatever, and so I would do it on Friday, and by Monday I would be clean. So every week that I got paid, I got $2,000 in my pocket. I would go and spend it on crack. But I would always have my prescriptions there because they would like counter the effect of if I got too high, I would take, like 8-10 milligram hydrocodones, and I would come down and I would go to sleep. If I didn't, I would be awake all night.
And can you kind of explain or help us understand what the difference is in terms of how you feel when you're on a stimulant like a crack cocaine versus when you're taking fentanyl or oxycodone? Can you kind of describe how you feel with an opioid versus a stimulant?
I don't know how to best describe. When I was doing crack, it was like Ethiopia. Like, I don't know. I was watching the crack cocaine thing on Netflix. I mean, they explained it to a T on there, and like that's exactly how you feel. But when you're on opiates, it's more of a body high than a mind high. If that makes any sense. So instead of the crack, the crack goes to your head, and then you're trying to fight for that hit that you first got that day or whatever. Then you just kept wanting to get that high again, and you'll never get it. But with opiates, the more you take, the higher you get. But it's more of a, how do I say it? I was more relaxed with opiates compared to smoking crack, getting high, and then getting paranoid.
So which way? So you have a preference for opioids?
Yes. Yes. That's what made me officially stop doing crack cocaine. Was I'm like, dude, why am I doing this if I don't like it? Spend all your money on pills. Well, then that was the mistake.
And then did you end up getting any type of withdrawal if you didn't get the crack or cocaine?
I did not. I didn't know what withdrawal was until fentanyl. And I get goosebumps. I get the chills. I get like my legs keep wanting to stretch. My arms want to stretch. My back, like I can't get comfortable. Yeah.
And how quickly do you start getting the withdrawal after you take a last dose? Does it happen within hours, or what's
2
your
hours.
time frame? Within 2 hours. Okay. So you're virtually having to take something almost around the clock every 2 hours to kind of keep from going into withdrawal.
Oh, like here. Okay, I got only if This is how I'm saying, like, if I'm by myself at my house, I can do one and be fine. I could do like a half, like, I could do a half and be fine for a couple hours, do the other half, and then be fine for the rest if I'm by myself. But if there are like other freaking people, like my brother, if he comes over to my house, he always goes, well, what are we going to do today? Like, I don't know what he does to me, but he triggers something inside my body that makes me always withdraw. Like, but if I'm by myself, I'm okay. Like I can fight the withdrawal more than I can when I'm with someone.
And do you find that you also tend to use more if you're in a certain place or if you're around certain people?
Yes.
And what kind of triggers those cravings?
They get they get worse when I'm with people. Like like when I'm with people and I don't have anything and everybody's jonesing.
And so you mentioned it was interesting. You mentioned the withdrawals are sometimes more difficult to manage when you're around people. Is there a reason why that? Do you think that happens, or what are your thoughts on why that would be?
I think it's like psychological, like just like they plan a. Because if I'm fine by myself, then why do I need more when I'm with you? It's more psychological. It's because they keep saying, like, even if we get something, somebody will say, well, how are we going to get something here later? So instead of enjoying the fucking high of the fentanyl when you first did it, so you're enjoying it on the ride home, but when you get home, and somebody says that, well, then you're like, now we have to go, try and make some money somewhere. So yeah, I mean, with somebody there, it's more psychological.
So that's that must be very challenging, especially when you're a lot of it has to do with withdrawal. Have you gone through situations where you've overdosed?
Never.
Oh, so you're very lucky.
No, I just watch the doses I do, like except for the fentanyl. Like, I had a high tolerance for pain pills because I remember. Oh, I did shoot heroin one time. It was when I couldn't get pain pills for like a week or whatever, and I went over to my buddy's house and I was here. I got this here, new whatever. I'm like, okay, well, and I did a point of it, and like it never did anything for me, like except for like eat vein away, which that's that's the thing that scares me about heroin is it eats your veins. I like my veins showing, so. But so like, and then one time, like I don't even know how much I did, like a half a point or something, and I never felt anything. And then I guess the heroin started getting stronger. They started mixing it with fentanyl or whatever it was, but. I think it was like a year ago. I did something like, and it did the same thing as crack, kind of, but it like I went whoa, like my whole head like shit, like I was getting high, like I was getting ready to get knocked out, like I was getting ready to black out, like get knocked out, like fall out or overdose or whatever, but I didn't. I was still conscious and everything, and that's what made me stop shooting, or doing heroin.
So the fentanyl, I mean, you're very careful with your doses then when you're using it. Is it?
I don't know how much is in it.
Yeah, just because it's.
I don't know how much is in the pill. So like, like you can spike one with. I was looking online, like fentanyl. It takes, I don't know, so much before you OD, and then you got carfentanil, which 1 grain of salt can make you OD. Like, and then like when fentanyl first came out, I was blacking out all the time because they were so potent. I mean, they were so strong that my mind didn't know what to do. So my mind would shut off, but my body would keep going. I remember walking around in Price Chopper parking lot for 2 hours. I lost 2 hours of time. I woke up because a fireman tapped me on my shoulder, and then I got put in handcuffs.
Oh, goodness.
Because I was walking around like.
But you don't remember
I remember going into Price Chopper to get meat. I don't remember walking out. I don't remember going to my van. I don't remember throwing keys in the middle of the parking lot. I don't remember ripping shit out of my van. I don't remember none of that. I don't remember walking around. All I remember was getting woke up by a fireman.
Those were the blackouts that you were referring to, right? When you just couldn't,
Yes.
You were doing things, you were conscious, so you weren't overdosed, you were conscious, but you just couldn't remember. That time kind of lapsed, right?
Right. Like I blacked out until somebody like woke me up, and then I'm like I don't remember walking into Price Chopper. I don't remember going to the meat. Like the guy that worked there said that he watched me go up to the meat, pick 2 meats up. I picked him up, was getting ready to walk out with him. I set him down, I left, and I started walking. I don't remember any of that.
So did that only happen, these blackouts only happen to you when you take fentanyl, or did that happen with any other drugs?
Just fentanyl.
Just fentanyl.
And
did
never
it happen
blacked out
with anything else?
No, never blacked out with anything else.
And did it happen only when you first started using, or does it happen every so often?
It happened when I think a year ago when this stuff first came out.
So your body was kind of getting adjusted to it. Have you blacked out, or that you know of?
I'm not like totally blacked out, but I hate saying this, but my mom knows when I'm high. Because I'm 30 years old and I live back with her. But she can tell when I'm high because I start to get I like to clean. I get obnoxious and I start to clean. I'll start clapping, or I'll start yelling or screaming or whatever, talking loud like I was doing a minute ago. So but she can tell.
Oh, and then what does she do when she knows that you're high? Does she give you a hard time, or no?
Yes.
Oh,
I have to leave.
So currently you're doing so today you're mainly doing the fentanyl, or do you dabble in any other drugs?
More or less the fentanyl. I'll do I'll snort a line of cocaine here and there, but or smoke a hit of meth, because I used to get 80 or Adderall, which I loved that too. But so I mean, like if acid was right in my face right now, I guarantee I could ditch the pills and I can go straight to acid or shrooms. If I can get shrooms or acid, that I don't know what it is, but like the next day it makes me feel like refreshed and re-energized. Like my body doesn't hurt. I can see clear.
It's interesting you say that, because they're looking at a lot of research right now with lower doses of the hallucinogens for different treatments for depression. Some even are trying to see about treating opioid use.
I guarantee it would work.
Then I wanted to just ask you about that, because would in your experience, could that be something that could help you get off opioids?
Like 100%. I mean, everybody that I grew up with, my friends, we're all hooked on opiates. And I have 100 friends, and every time we say something, because we didn't do none of this shit when we were not hardcore like we're now, spending our paychecks on it, trying to survive to work just to get a pill. It sucks. But me and my buddy were talking. He goes, dude, if I had some acid or shrooms right now, I guarantee I would quit. I'd have my money, because he's got kids, I got kids. I'm not even and this is the bad thing. I love my daughter to death. She's 2 years old. She's funny, but I do not care about her until I get my fix. And that's bad to say. I am a total until I get something to call me. I don't know what it is, but if I had acid or shrooms or something, I guarantee I'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm done. I could do lower doses of that and be fine, just because the next day it makes me feel good. And
But you mentioned earlier that they're very difficult to find. Is that right?
Yes.
So have you come across it recently at all, or no?
I haven't. Last time I did it was I think it was 22, 23. It was the last time that anybody could get it. So it's been like 7 years. Like it's hard to come by. And I mean, unless you own a cow farm or something and you want to go shroom hunting, but I ain't trespassing no farmer's yard. I ain't getting shot.
So when you were taking it, were you taking opioids at the same time? Did it kind of replace the withdrawal when you were taking the
It replaced
acid?
the withdrawal.
Okay.
You didn't even. I don't
You
know
didn't
how to
even feel
describe.
You didn't feel any withdrawal symptoms when you were on it,
Didn't feel no withdrawals. The best thing that I ever did was go outside because my eyes like opened up and everything was like clear in the middle of the night and I was high, high off acid and shrooms. I'm like, God, dude, this looks freaking awesome. Laughing over nothing. It was awesome. So you weren't even like, you were in the real world. You would laugh here and there. Like, I know you're not supposed to, but we drove around, we went to Quick Trip, we got pop, whatever, we were still relaxed enough to do whatever and laugh, but we weren't worried about, getting a pain pill or nothing.
So is that the only drug that's ever kind of helped you stay further away from the opioids with the hallucinogens? And does marijuana come close to doing anything like that or no?
When I started marijuana, I don't know, I did it at work, I would do it, just to ease my mind. But like now I can, like, let's say not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I smoked, but I didn't have anything. Well, for some reason, my body hurt 10 times worse when I was high on marijuana than when I wasn't high on marijuana. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what, some people say they don't hurt on marijuana. Like their pain goes, well, I'm like, oh, I don't know how the hell that is because my body gets worse.
So do you have pain normally, or is it just the pain that you get when you get into withdrawal?
It's the pain I get for withdrawal.
Okay. So you don't have like normal chronic pain?
No.
No. Okay. And so, that's interesting. So the THC makes you feel more intense withdrawals.
Yeah, it like puts more pressure on my back, my lower back. Like I keep thinking about my lower back more.
Do you have an injury there, or is it just some strange thing from withdrawal?
Yeah, it's just it's something weird from withdrawal. Like it's tight right now, but that's because I'm lazy and I don't do nothing. But like when I smoke, it's like even like if I go out and here and there I'll go out and work, I'll make money. Like if it snows, I'll go out and I'll shovel snow for some money, quick money, whatever. But yeah, my back don't hurt then. But when I smoke, something about smoking marijuana makes my back hurt.
Oh, that's interesting because it's they're looking at it for pain relief. I guess in some people it helps to relieve pain, but that's interesting. You may have a different your body type, your physiology may be a bit different where you're experiencing that. And so we'll pause here. Quite a lot of very interesting, again, narrative that came out of that section of the interview. Dr. Kelsh, the economics here, he mentions the price of fentanyl being on the street between $20 and $35 a pill. If that withdrawal typically sets in about every 2 hours or so after taking it, it seems it's a rather expensive habit. He mentioned the Suboxone costs were really restrictive. However, if you take the math on what they're spending on the streets, it seems that they're spending a far more on the street drugs. Do you encounter that in terms of the economics with some of the drug abusers that you deal with in the clinic?
Yeah, they almost all will complain about the cost of the Suboxone, but yet when you point out how much their cigarettes or their habit costs, they recognize that, but there's also a lot of other effort that goes into getting the Suboxone from a prescriber that you don't have to do on the street. Your dealer maybe generally is pretty close to where you live, so it's easy to call them up and get it when you need it. To get the Suboxone, you have to have an appointment. You have to keep your appointment to get a refill. That costs money. They may want to do, medical labs, things like that they may not have insurance for. So they have to pay for other things, as well as the time and effort. And a lot of these people don't really have steady transportation. And at least in this area, public transportation is not all that great. So even getting to those appointments may be an issue. So I think it's the cost, but there's also a lot of other parts to it that they just find just not appealing. They just haven't made it easy for them to get it.
And it's unfortunate because oftentimes when they come in these trials, they seem to get a benefit from the Suboxone. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So if they're in a study that they're in-house any length of time where they finish the withdrawal and they've been titrated onto the Suboxone, nearly all of them, feel really good at the end, and some will want to go get the Suboxone. Some will feel like they're kind of cured, that they've done so well that they should be able to go out and just maintain it. But that obviously doesn't happen because you need more than 3 weeks of Suboxone to really get a handle on that condition. So yeah, it's different than, I think, like he described, using it on the street. Wasn't all that great. They usually will just use that to mitigate the withdrawal until they can get what they want. But if you're actually getting it on a regular basis at a good dose in a setting like this, then it's very helpful, and they all do really well.
And can you just kind of walk us through? So you mentioned that they need to have a physician will have to see them in person in order to write the scripts. How often do they need to be going into a physician's office to get the script? Is it for every renewal of the script? And how long do the scripts? Is it a 30-day access, or what's sort of the time frame that they typically have to go through?
Just having only done the research where we sort of follow the protocol, and having not prescribed that in a private practice setting, but there is a whole course you have to take in order to become a Suboxone provider. You only can have so many in your clinic. I believe you have to come in and you have to follow some drug screen. They have to drop a urine and make sure that they're not taking something that might interact with it. And the titration, but it's not like methadone where you have to come in every day. It definitely is easier. And once you're maintained on it, I think you can get at least a month's supply, if not longer. Probably, I'm not sure how long once you're stabilized, if you can get up to a 3-month, with some refills. Probably not. You probably have to have a paper prescription in order to get the refill.
And it's interesting because some of the Suboxone versus methadone. I mean, he mentions that methadone turns him mean. He preferred the Suboxone if over the methadone. Do you find that there are differences? And I think as we go into this interview series, some of the other folks that we interview talk about some of the stigma with methadone. Do you notice differences in sort of the pharmacology or reactions to methadone versus Suboxone?
I think just like you mentioned, just the stigma. I think just for the people in the clinic we had some who were willing to go to a methadone clinic and start methadone. And I think once you're on it, it seems like they look pretty similar, but I do think there's an idea that to get off the methadone is harder, that if you're on methadone, you're going to be on it the rest of your life. And then people have different experiences with it when they get it off the street. Differences in how it makes them feel. But no, I mean, I think because we've done studies where we've had people who were on stable doses of methadone and Suboxone, and they both work. I mean, if someone's committed to it and is taking it the way they should, they both do a pretty good job.
And he did mention another way of that he's tampered with drugs in the past. He talked about Suboxone films and putting those over a spoon, heating them up, and then snorting the liquid. So that's a new one with the film. So again, some evidence there of some prescription tampering or drug tampering there. That we're always interested in overcoming. He did mention that he has a preference for opioids, but he'd rather be a crack addict because it's easier to overcome the crack addiction compared to the opioid addiction. You've done, Dr. Kelsh, you've worked with cocaine individuals who are cocaine dependent. Do you notice observable differences between opioid addicts versus crack cocaine stimulant users?
Yes, because we've done studies where people have to come in and be negative for cocaine. These are people who have sort of a cocaine use disorder, and they do okay. I mean, they come in and have to be negative, and they're not like the people who are withdrawing from opioids. So I do think it's less intense as far as that goes.
For the withdrawal,
yes.
Yeah,
I just haven't really seen a ton of withdrawal with the cocaine, at least not in our facility. We haven't lost people for checking in and saying, "Oh, I have to just go get my cocaine. I can't stay." Whereas we've definitely had people who, with the opioid use disorder, who just can't stay. They just can't even spend the night. They end up leaving.
Another interesting, again, he was commenting on the psychedelics, the LSD and the shrooms, and sort of his experience having taken that. Of note, it was rather interesting that he's not able to find those types of drugs on the street, but just given some of the intensity in recent years of looking at psychedelics for disorders like opioid use disorder, there seems to be he seems to be resonating with the fact that this may be helpful in some way for his opioid use disorder, but it is difficult for him to access it. So I thought the comment around it was rather interesting, that it seems to help mitigate the withdrawal, or at least the intensity. He felt better from it.
Right. That is promising, because they are studying that, and it would be nice to have another way to address this condition. And if something like that can help in a structured setting, then that would be really wonderful.
I did also find it interesting with the marijuana use. He mentions that it sort of exacerbated his pain that he gets from withdrawal. He mentioned the back pain that he experiences, and marijuana making it feel worse. So in his case, I know that a lot of folks look at THC for its potential analgesic properties, but I guess not everybody's physiology is the same. And in this particular case, he seems to get a worsening of the marijuana. But it does, marijuana use is quite prevalent amongst a lot of folks who have opioid use disorder, right? So are some people getting relief from the THC use and withdrawals in your experience, or is it, do they avoid that?
No, I don't think it really helps. I mean, I think it's not as common as it is in our recreational drug users. When we do a recreational study, I mean, that's definitely the drug of choice. So they may use opiates if it's available, but they use marijuana every day, a lot of them. Where with the opioid use disorder, we see cocaine, sometimes we see PCP, but sometimes that's, just, benzos for when they want to come down. I think if they're needing to come down from something like a stimulant, the benzos. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it helps. It's not, they never say, "Oh, if I could just go smoke some weed, I would feel so much better." I don't think it replaces it, but it's probably just a personal preference. Some people like it and the way it makes them feel, and some don't. But I don't think it helps. It doesn't help the pain of withdrawal.
But you find it that they use less THC in the dependent populations than the non-dependent. Is that right?
It seems like it seems like it's. I'd have to just kind of look at the statistics, but because we'll see a lot of people with opioid use disorder that come in with not positive. We see a lot of methamphetamine with it, some cocaine, and we'll see some marijuana, but it's not most of them that are using marijuana too.
And I suppose that makes sense, because if it's not helping them with withdrawal and they're focused, their primary focus is on addressing withdrawal symptoms, then all of their money or whatever they can gather would be probably focused on obtaining more opioids to control it, rather than something that may not necessarily help them with that. So that also makes sense in with that respect too. So that was really quite interesting. I also found it very interesting. Again, he mentioned the fentanyl blackouts and sort of the experience he had at the grocery store when he couldn't remember what had happened. It's hard to say, I guess, what happens, what causes this, since these are all obtained from the streets, and we really don't know what is in any of these pills.
Right.
So it
could be cut with like a benzo. I think they have some that are kind of look like a date rape drug where you do lose memory. I don't think that's super common, but yeah, like you said, you don't know what's in there. And some people think they're buying oxys and it's really fentanyl. So for example, we'll have someone who uses every day, but they come in and their drug screen for opioids is negative. So we've now had to add a fentanyl test, which is separate. We have an in-house fentanyl because it's not picked up in the normal opioid panel.
So now that you're implementing the fentanyl test, are you seeing a lot of positives come out on fentanyl?
Well, we don't do it for our regular, healthy volunteers. So yes, anytime, for that study, in order to be eligible, you had to have a positive opioid. And so we had to add it in order, we would have had a handful that wouldn't have been eligible because it looked as if they weren't using.
Right.
Yeah. But just in general, it's not part of the general drug screen that we do because it takes 3 days if you send it out. But we probably should do it for our recreational opioid studies just because we won't know if they're currently using. We don't want to do a naloxone challenge if they're actually positive, check in, and we just haven't picked it up.
And it would largely be dependent on what source they're getting it from, right? I mean, if they're getting it from a prescription, then, you're not probably getting it something laced as opposed to getting it on the street where it's uncertain as to what might be in there and what could come out positive on a urine drug screen. So that's all very interesting. So I think there were certainly very interesting points that were brought up in this segment. And we have just one more segment of the interview to go through, and we'll conclude that with a final roundtable discussion and conclusions. So stay tuned. The other thing I wanted to ask you also was, you had mentioned you had participated in a study at in Kansas there at the clinic that you're at.
Yes.
Did you have you tried it just one study before, or have you been in multiple studies?
I've tried to do multiple studies, but the drugs had a hold of me too long.
And when you were part of the study, did you receive any of the treatments? Did you do any, what were they asking you to do? Were you filling out questionnaires about a drug, or how was that study set up?
We did the Suboxone study.
I
forgot what it was called. I forgot what the name of the actual study was.
That's okay. You can just describe it.
Yeah. I mean, especially because of COVID right now, so we all had to stay in a room, me and 2 other guys. And I think we had to stay here for 27 days, 30 days, whatever. And I think it was like the 11th or something day we had to stay in our room all day long for, I don't know, 20 something hours or something like that. I mean, it was crazy. So we had to sit there and we always had to get stuck every hour Yeah, I mean, it was cool. The Suboxone helped with the withdrawals. I did it withdrawal. So I'd come out. Oh, sorry. I would do my tests. Write down where my pain was or where my withdrawal symptoms were at, or so on and so forth. On a sheet, I'd have to mark it, one line to tell them where I was at, and then, then we'd have the rest of the day to just watch TV and eat. And I mean, that was the main study, was just that, they did it when we first got there, they did it halfway through, and then when we left.
So was it? So you felt comfortable? The Suboxone helped with the withdrawal. Did you get any kind of breakthrough withdrawal, or did it kind of tie you over for the time that, excuse me, that you were in the study?
Sorry. It lasted for 3 days when I left.
The Suboxone. So it stayed in your system, and you had no withdrawal for about 3 days.
Right.
Yeah, because they're long acting. But you mentioned that it was very expensive to stay on that. Would that have been, if it had been more accessible, would it have been something that you would have considered staying on?
Yeah, because it would have let me keep my family. I mean, Yeah, I mean, it would like if I don't know. Like it like they have grants or whatever for in Kansas. They have grants. You can qualify for a grant. Well, I
Mhm.
haven't worked in like 3 years.
Mhm.
So they said I qualified for the grant. Well, they never sent me paperwork or did anything for the grant, but they kept charging me every time I went to the doctor's office.
Mhm.
And somehow the grant wouldn't have covered that, and I would have had to come up with the money before I got covered for the grant. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I can't pay for that. So how am I?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. So I'll see you guys later. I'm not paying. It was like $105 or something. I mean, it's not much, but
So it's $105 for how much of a supply? For how long of a supply would it have lasted you?
I think they were like 2 milligrams.
Mhm.
And I mean, if dosage was higher, maybe I would have bought them more, bought
Mhm.
it. But I was like, no, like it was for a week. The supply was for a week. So like, I think it was like 3 day or 2 day or something like that.
So 2 days supply was about $105.
About a week's supply was
A week,
$105. Yeah.
$5. Okay, but is that similar to what you're paying for when you're buying fentanyl? Is that comparable, or is it are you spending more on fentanyl?
I spend more on fentanyl.
Mm. Yeah.
I wasn't looking at the bigger picture.
Mhm.
I wasn't. I was looking at a quick fix to stop my withdrawals for
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
little bit.
Would you consider going back on Suboxone or trying something that would help you come off of it?
Yeah.
Mm. Well, we can check. I mean, certainly we have a clinic there, and perhaps they can help set up something for you or get you some connections there. Maybe if you're interested in doing that,
Yeah, because I hate
perhaps
fentanyl.
we can perhaps provide some resources, and I'll have my colleagues before you leave, or I'll follow up with you after if you would like to just check out what's local and resources in the area, if there's anything that they can do to maybe perhaps make it more affordable, or if there's other avenues that you could take, because you're clearly motivated to want to reduce that fentanyl use, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to quit. Like,
Mm.
I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
Yeah, so it's so the when you were and so just a technical thing on when you were in the study, when they were asking you questions on withdrawal, when you have to think about it so much, does it change how you're responding? Like, for example, if you're kind of feeling okay and then you're being prompted to ask to these questions, does it change the intensity of how you're feeling it? So I guess kind of what I'm asking is, are the questions were the questions that you were answering really reflective of what you're feeling? And is there anything that we can do to maybe change the questions or modify them to be a little bit more accurate to what you're going through when you're going through withdrawal or
Well,
using an opioid?
people go through withdrawal symptoms differently. I
Mhm.
was withdrawing, but with my withdrawal symptoms, my muscles want to just keep moving. So I like stretch my arms, I stretch my legs, I
Ah,
stretch my whole body.
uh-huh.
And then I had my other two roommates in there that were withdrawing because we, did the Suboxone or whatever. So, straight withdrawal or whatever. And
Hmm.
they were throwing up and not eating. And I was eating everything. So, I mean,
Ah, interesting. Okay, so they had a
like,
very different. They have different withdrawal symptoms.
yes, like one couldn't.
So they were vomiting, and they had the GI kind of the
Yeah.
those types of symptoms, and you feel like you're kind of restless. You have an urge to what, like move around, or
Yeah. I mean, that's
and
like
mhm,
I'm doing now, like, standing up or stretching my
mhm,
legs or my
mhm.
arms or,
So you feel restless, right?
yes.
Hmm. And then you mentioned you also have back pain, or you get pain when you're going through withdrawal.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. It's in my back right now.
and then do you feel what other kind of symptoms are those usually the two major things that you feel when you're going into withdrawal, or
I
do
get
you get
hot and
more
cold. I'll
hot and
start to
cold?
get real
Hmm.
sweaty.
Uh-huh.
When I first start withdrawal, like if I do,
Mhm.
like last night I did my last pill at 11 o'clock because I was told I couldn't do it today. So I did it at 11.
Mhm.
And by 8 o'clock in the morning, I was in full withdrawal. So,
Ah, oh wow. So you're undergoing withdrawal now as we're speaking. You're in some state of
Correct.
withdrawal. Okay. So so I'm not going to keep you too long because
No, you're
I'm sure you're
fine.
going to want to feel comfortable.
You are fine. You are fine. No, you don't have to rush.
But that is interesting because you're quite unique in that sense. So I guess, if we're asking these questions, maybe some of them might not even be applying to you because they're usually the symptoms manifest differently in different people. So that's a good thing
Correct.
to note as well. So when you were filling out the questionnaires, were there things on there that you were able to relate to in terms of the withdrawal, or were they really off the mark?
It was, well, I mean, like some of the questions they asked me, it was like, and like some of the questions are with COVID,
Mm-hmm.
is your body aching? Are you, sweaty? You got the chills. Well, okay, well, yeah, with withdrawal symptoms, I do. My body
Mm-hmm.
aches. I got the
Right.
withdrawal symptoms. My nose
Mhm.
is runny.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I first came in, I was scared to say my nose was runny.
Mm-hmm.
My body was aching. I was
Of
scared to say
course.
it because it's got I'm like, here I go.
Mhm.
So, but then like when the doctor came in and I was like, are you experiencing withdrawal? Because like right away she's like, yep, his nose is running, and I'm like, I'm gonna get kicked out of here because I got COVID.
Oh.
But then I seen it right down, and yeah, he's in full withdrawal. He's got 5
Mhm.
or more symptoms. I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, that's but they're trained there to know the difference. So hopefully they didn't
Right.
give you too much of a headache.
No, they didn't. It was all it was psychological. I did it to myself. I was like,
Mm.
man, I don't want to lose that on this money. I need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's thing. So well, I think we'll stop here because it's been extremely informative. Unless there's anything else that you wanted to share, but I wanted to thank you so much for your time, and it's been very, very informative. We're doing these interviews to really get a better understanding of just what experiences are, because people manifest these experiences with these drugs in such different ways, and so we're
Right.
trying to see if the types of studies that we run, we evaluate a lot of these drugs and get feedback from people like you who are using these drugs recreationally. And we always want to know, are we asking the right questions? Are we
You
really
are, yes.
probing? Okay. When we're doing these types of studies, and a lot of the pharmaceutical companies that we're working with are trying to make opioids or stimulants, for example, that are more difficult to manipulate for, whether to intranasally snort or to inject. So they're trying to come up with mechanisms for that. And so you mentioned, I'll just
The
quickly ask before we
OPs.
go. Yeah, the
Go to the
OPs.
OPs.
Yeah.
Go do that. I mean, do that. Like I'm
Mhm.
not going to spend my like I said, like if I'm withdrawn, I'm not going to spend my time and putting the motherfucker in the microwave. I'm going to eat it.
Right.
So
Right.
it's either you eat it or
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's so does it really matter to you then if a drug has these kind of properties to it that make it difficult to crush or to dissolve? Does it really make a difference for you at the end of the day?
I At the end of the day, no, because you're going to get high one way or another.
Mhm. With that
Whether what
same drug, with that same
Right,
pill,
with
right?
that
Yeah.
same drug. Right,
Mhm.
exactly. You're either going to
Mhm.
ingest it and it's going to go to your liver, or you're going to snort it and it's going to go to your liver, or
Mhm.
you're going to shoot it and it's going to go to your liver,
Mhm. Yeah.
But no matter, at the end of the day, it 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 doesn't matter. I mean, like in a sense it does, but it doesn't. Like yeah, I don't want to waste my time with 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, 10
Mhm.
I don't want to be doing 10 seconds for 1 minute
Mhm.
to try to get this pill to
Mhm.
whatever, when I could just eat it and be okay here in the next 30 minutes.
So, for example, if you were buying some opioids from somebody and somebody had an OP, but they also had just like the regular generic
Go with the
tablets,
generic.
you would go with the choice would be to go with something easier to work
Yes.
with. Yeah. Okay. Well, that has been very, very helpful. I really want to sincerely thank you for your time and for sharing your story with us. Well, that was a very informative interview, and the candidate was so he's very forthcoming with what he goes through and how he experiences opioids and all the things that he's done to obtain drugs, like theft and everything like that. So it was really remarkable, his particular story, and some of the main points of the discussion, I think, really were around how he really manages withdrawal and the potency of opioids over time, and the difficulty he has with some of the more potent opioids like the heroin and particularly the fentanyl in manifesting these conditions. With respect to withdrawal, Dr. Kelsh, I mean, you manage withdrawal a lot in the clinic with when these subjects come in. What are some of the best results that you've gotten in terms of managing withdrawal with patients? Are there any kind of clinical pearls that we could learn on about the management? I know it's a very tricky and very intensive episodes when these things do happen. But what have you learned over the years for management of withdrawal?
Well, we've learned to just be pretty aggressive with the rescue medicines, which aren't perfect, but they do help some. Just the ibuprofen, the Tylenol, the hydroxyzine, compazine. I think when we first started doing these studies, we thought that maybe if we rescued them too aggressively, they wouldn't demonstrate withdrawal the next day. We'd have to delay their Suboxone dose, but that hasn't been the case. So just very aggressive with the rescue medications, and also just a lot of support. I mean, just reassurance that if they can get through the first couple days of the Suboxone taper, that they will feel better. And so it just takes a lot of support, reassurance, and just allowing them to take the other medicines, as ineffective as they might be. They can help take the edge off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So can you kind of walk us through the procedures for getting somebody on Suboxone in terms of the withdrawal that they have to go through before you can start them on the regimen? If you can kind of just walk us through how that occurs clinically.
Right. So in order to be inducted into Suboxone, you have to have some withdrawal symptoms. Otherwise, if you're feeling fine and you give it to them, they'll suddenly go into this very precipitous withdrawal, and it's very difficult. So some studies, wanted their COWS, which is their clinical opiate withdrawal scale, to be cleared at a 12, which is pretty high, in order to just safely induct them onto the Suboxone. We found that that's probably too high to make them that sort of miserable prior to giving it to them, but you can also be too low. If you give them at a 5, like he's saying, you may have a runny nose for another reason, and so they're not quite ready for it. And then if you give it to them too early, then they're also in worse shape. So you really have to find that sweet spot, which is probably somewhere by an 8 or so, in order to give it to them. So they have to be demonstrating some significant symptoms in order to not make them worse. So we may, like in a protocol, we may allow 2 days in order to get that started, because depending on what they're using, if they're using just mostly pills, they may take longer to really demonstrate enough withdrawal in order to get it onto the Suboxone. Whereas others, like you mentioned, fentanyl or whatever, is a little bit quicker. So we need some sort of window in which we can get them started. They may not all be starting at the same time.
And then when you start them on the Suboxone, how quickly is it before that you see that the withdrawal is mitigated? Does it take several days before you start to see an improvement in those symptoms?
Probably by the 3rd day, they're pretty much better. But the first day, usually we'll start maybe at a 4 milligram dose, and we'll allow them to have another 4 milligram dose in the afternoon. And then the next day, we'll give them 8 milligrams, and then they can have another 4 in the afternoon. So then by the 3rd day, they're getting 12 milligrams in the morning, and they're usually better by then. So the first day can still be pretty tough, but it just gets incrementally better as it goes on. As long as you haven't, like I said, given them too early. If you give it to them too early and then they get worse, now they're kind of afraid of it, and they don't necessarily want to get the second dose. And so you have to just make sure that we do it correctly.
And then once they're titrated, you usually follow them in the clinic for some time after that.
Mm-hmm.
Are they very stable at that point once they've gotten to that stable titration dose, or do you see breakthrough? I mean, this particular male said that he didn't have any breakthrough withdrawal once he was stable.
No, I think early on when we were doing some of these studies, the dose you could give a person may vary. So maybe we'd have some people on 24 and some people just on 8. But most of our studies now, you can titrate it to effect. This last study we did, I think we got everybody to 16 milligrams and everybody was fine. We didn't have any breakthrough. And then at the end, we titrate them down so that by the time they leave, some might feel a little bit of withdrawal, but the only way he's going to withdraw at home is if he's using. So if you're using and you're feeling okay, you're not withdrawing, then all of a sudden you're used, and then boom, you start to withdraw again once the Suboxone quits working.
Okay. Well, that has been a very interesting series, and this really kickstarts a series of additional interviews that we will be broadcasting over podcasts. And I think we'll see a lot of these types of stories emerge where, these subjects who are dependent on opioids really have a great momentum to address the withdrawal symptoms and strong urges to do so. And I think that this will be a recurring theme throughout our series. But we'll also be interviewing some non-dependent recreational users who are not physically dependent. And you'll notice that their habits are quite different. They manifest and they experiment with drugs in different ways and have different motivations from the dependent groups. And that will be featured in some of the discussions that we have ongoing in this series. So I'd like to thank you, Dr. Kelsh, for joining today and for your insights into this area of drug use. And we look forward and thank our audience for joining us as well, and look forward to our next sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.